What's poppin', y'all? Welcome to the first official episode of Teed Up. I'm your host, Pierre Pee Wee the Plug Andreessen. I am excited and honored to have all of you here. This has been a long time in the making. And this episode is really just going to be an introductory episode. We're going to relax, basically lay out the foundation of what this will be. And that's my goal. I want everybody to leave this episode knowing exactly what Teed Up is, what we're trying to accomplish. And then last but not least, and most importantly, I want y'all to leave saying to yourselves, I can't wait for the next episode. Today's episode, along with us introducing it and laying everything out, we're going to talk basketball. This isn't a basketball show. There are some trade deadline topics and things that I want to dive into because I feel like we're kind of on our way to maybe that blockbuster we've all been anticipating. My biggest thing and my biggest fear is that we're going to wrap up this episode. It's going to come out tomorrow and that the trade happens before or during the release of this. And that would make me feel kind of upset because, of course, if we can get the trade happening during the recording, that would be phenomenal. I'm going to be checking this phone just to make sure because I feel like the trade is on the horizon. And then after that, we're going to be introducing a segment called Q's with P, something that was formulated by my producer, Christian, that you guys will soon get to know. And he's going to be a very, very big part of the show. And then we'll close out with a game that you will see reoccurring on this show. But before we dive into all of that, I wouldn't be me without first and foremost giving my love and appreciation to my team that has made this show and this opportunity come to life. And I want to start with the Enjoy team, the Hawk brothers, Cody and Cole. They reached out to me a while ago. We had, numerous conversations about a show and whatnot. And the thing that stood out to me that I really was impressed with was the fact that they allowed me to have a vision and they helped me bring it to life. I've been in this industry for almost a decade now, which is actually kind of crazy to say. I think we're in like year 7. And I've had different opportunities brought to me. And a lot of times, as grateful as I am for certain opportunities, you don't get a chance to have your vision be brought to life. A lot of people are bringing you their vision and what they want you to do to help their vision come to life, but they kind of reversed it. And I'm now in a position to where I'm doing exactly what I want to do, how I want to do it. And I just appreciate them for, reaching out and supporting me in that. And then also on the business side, being empowered and being a part of something to where, we're partners, and it's a combination of ideas, thoughts, and creativity that's being shared versus kind of, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. You don't have any, creative freedom. So I appreciate the Hawk brothers for that. Also want to give some love to Maddie. She just joined the team from overtime. I've only known her for the last few days, but the last couple of meetings we had, she was present for. And if you know me, you know I love support. And that's one thing that stood out to me is the promotion for Teed Up when it was on Instagram, whatever. Whenever I would get notified, as soon as I went to kind of react to it or share it, I already see Maddie liking and commenting. And so I appreciate any support, whether you're with the team or not. So shout out to Maddie. I can't wait to continue to work with you and see what your contributions to the show and to the company will be. Also got to give love to Austin, a.k.a. Drew, whatever you call him. He helped with some of the technical things. We just FaceTimed him a few times before we started this. Shout out to my guy. Known him for a couple of years now. He worked with us with Through the Wire. He's also here in Chicago as a photographer in the music landscape. So that's my guy. That's Lil Bro. And then I got to give love to Kat. Kat has been one of the most instrumental people and figures in this behind the scenes. I talked about it a little bit with the Hawk brothers of having a vision and it coming to life. And I think Kat was the most focal part of having this all come to life. It's very hard as a creator to have a vision and to actually see it in like a tangible way. And I think I would not have been able to do it on my own. And I think Kat did a really good job of coming up with mood boards and really figuring out exactly what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, what I wanted to say, my entire persona and swag she was able to bring to life. And at times, I even told her this myself, it felt like she was more locked in than me. It was a crucial time in the year of like the Christmas holiday season. And I'll never forget, she had to kind of remind me or double text me a few times. So I appreciate her commitment to it, and to see it actually come to life is just incredible. And then last but not least, my boy Christian, my producer, who again y'all will meet and see soon. He is like this ball of energy that I enjoy working with on Numbers on the Board. I didn't know he was going to be my producer. That just kind of happened. But I love having his energy and playing off of it. He's like new into this. And again, I'm seasoned a little bit, so it's easy to kind of be desensitized to certain things, but his energy and excitement kind of rewires me and get me back to my early days of just being ready to go and having that joy in this. And he's also my college basketball buddy. So I feel good having somebody now around that can keep me on my toes, challenge me, and keep me locked in on college basketball. So shout out to my Enjoy team. And then last but not least, my for real last shout out and love, my teammates at Numbers on the Board. Kenny is obviously this is Enjoy as his baby, but then Mike and Derek as well. I would not be able to be in this seat as comfortable and as confident as I am without being able to work with those guys for the last 7 or so years. The greatest teammates that I could have. I am not who I am in my career without them. They've allowed me to be who I am every day on our show. I'm loud, I'm wild, I'm very opinionated. I talk shit. I'm in your face, yelling, screaming, all of the stuff that gets people in the comments offended and bothered. They've been able to deal with it for 7 years with no problems. We never had a fight. There has never been an almost canceling of the show. Nobody's ever left. And I acknowledge that, and I'm appreciative of that. And so, again, I have to give them their flowers, because without sparring with them and going back and forth with them and being wrong sometimes, being right at times, I would not be able to be as comfortable as I am leading my own show. So shout out to my boys, and make sure y'all put pressure on Mike and Derek to now start their own shows or whatnot. So, I just want to give my love to my team, my people. And again, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't one of those people that took time to acknowledge that. Now, for the show and what this is going to be, what everybody's been wondering, what is teed up, what it was. I saw some of y'all thinking that some of the promo was for a mixtape. I'm definitely honored and flattered that y'all would be that excited for potential music from me or the rest of the guys, because we are far from musicians. But to see all of the comments say, "Oh my goodness, like this would be a dope song. Is this the instrumental? Is this a mixtape?" I appreciate that, but no, this is not a mixtape. There is no music coming out on Enjoy or anything like that. This is officially the Pee Wee the Plug show teed up, a version of a former show I used to do, but just on a higher and different level. It's going to be a weekly show. There are going to be times where I'm going to be here by myself, giving you my thoughts and opinions on things around the basketball world. That may be high school basketball. That may be some stuff going on overseas. That may be the NBA. That may be college. That may be youth basketball. Who knows? Basketball to me is not just held within the NBA community. Now, I will admit and say that most of the basketball talk on here will be tied to the NBA. There's no doubt about it. But on any given episode, there is a possibility for one of those other things that I mentioned to be brought up. And also, if you've watched Through the Wire, if you watch me on my own social media or YouTube, you know I'm not just tied to basketball. Basketball is life, but it's not all of life. So there are other topics and things that we definitely will bring on the show and discuss, because the culture is something that I am and that I breathe. So that's one of the main foundations we will have. The most important thing that I'm excited to tell you guys, that I think will get y'all real ready for what's to come. We're going to have guests. That's like the biggest secret that I've been trying to keep under wraps from all of y'all that's been asking questions. Why didn't you keep the heliocentric? What's the difference? What is the heliocentric dead? Like why are we changing? This is it's a new show. It's definitely in the same realm as the heliocentric, but as you know, the heliocentric was just me talking for an extensive amount of time. This series, this show, we're gonna have guests. That's going to be a big part of it. In fact, I'm not going to say no names. I'm not going to announce anything, but our first interview is done. The first interview is done. It already happened. It was magnificent. It was probably the best first guest that I could have, just because of how conversational he was. I'm a genuine fan of him, and I feel like a lot of the stuff that I set out, I wasn't prepared for him to talk that much. And it has nothing to do against him, but he was just more talkative than I could have ever anticipated. And I think that leads to the best content. I've seen y'all reactions to past guests on Numbers on the Board and Through the Wire, and those are y'all favorite guests. This guy is an all-star level player, right? It isn't some random guy. And again, he was extremely opinionated, conversational, and I was able to learn from him. And that's one of the things that I think I want to introduce in our community of this Teed Up show is, number one, we want to have community, right? So a lot of times I'm going to lean on you guys and I'm going to want to know what your opinions are, what your takes are, not to have anything to debate, not to have crazy takes, but I feel like nothing can go as far as it can without the people. And I've always been a person that's interacted with you guys from the genesis of Through the Wire. And I feel like you are the heartbeat of what goes on. So I value your thoughts and opinions when it comes to the sports or culture or whatever, and I want y'all to be a part of it. And I'm going to listen to certain criticisms. I'm going to listen to certain things that you like and dislike and you want to see more of, because, again, I want to have community. Basketball is a sport for sure, but more than that, it's a device. And one of the things that it's supposed to do as a device is bring us together. And one of my biggest things that I'm appreciative of in my life as a soon-to-be 30-year-old, crazy, I've been able to be a part of some things that came from basketball, some things that I think as a youth I didn't know was on the horizon, right? All of the relationships I've had, from, middle school to high school, whether it's having teammates, whether it's just having people that you argue or debate with, to be able to take it into your adulthood and still have some of those relationships, that to me is community, right? I talked about it on the last podcast of Numbers on the Board. We had a fan say, "Hey, I'm going to the live event in San Francisco, and I'm in this blank area. If you're in this area, we can carpool." To me, that is community. When I go on Twitter and I see people affected by the fires in California, and I see donations being made because of a certain fan base or whatnot. Like, I've seen Clipper fans kind of get gifted things or have a GoFundMe. You see that all the time. So to me, that is community, where basketball is what brings us together, but then we can take it further. And that's really what I want to bring here. I want to have a teed up community where basketball is going to bring us together, but there's still a love, a respect, and there's compassion that we have for one another outside of the game in the real world and real life. And I think we can do that. But yeah, to bring it all home, this is a show that, again, is going to talk about basketball. We're going to have guests. We're going to have a lot of guests. That's a big part of the show. It's not one of those things where we're going to have one every once in a while. I'm anticipating talking to somebody more often than not. And I think that's going to be something that excites y'all a lot. And I'm happy to get going. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the ethos of the show. If I didn't mention it already or didn't, drive it home enough, my producer Christian will be a part of the show. He's going to be in one of the segments coming on later. But throughout the history of this, you're going to know who Christian is. And I hope when we walk away from this, or not walk away, but down the line, he's able to have some type of following himself that he can, turn into his own thing. But that is teed up in a gist. And again, I'm so thankful to have all of the support. I've seen all of the comments. I've seen the support behind the promotion, and it's extremely overwhelming. You always are going to have a few naysayers, a few people that want to kind of rain on the parade, obviously. But thankfully for me, for y'all, the love overpowers the hate. So again, it's always extremely flattering to pick up your phone and see X amount of likes, X amount of comments. I saw people that was saying stuff like, it's one thing to get support where it's like fire emoji, like, hey, you know what I mean? Like I love that too. But when you look up on your phone, you get a notification and people are saying things like, he deserves this. That's my GOAT. Long time overdue. Hey, love him, hate him. He may not be for everybody, but damn it, he is good at his job. Like, or I see comments like, man, this could turn into something like that. That is the type of shit that raised the hair, the hairs on the back of my neck. That gives me goosebumps that like people are that strongly believe in what we have going on here. So again, I just want to take time to thank y'all and kind of set the tone for what we have in store. And again, the last thing I'll say, this is something that I want to look back on, especially this first episode, a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, and be like, wow, that was the start of something special. That was the start of something that altered my career or put me on a higher trajectory. And, all of the people that's here, a part of my quote unquote team that's helping me, I would love for this to be that for them too. So they can say, hey, I worked on Teed Up, that show that started off like this and then popped off. Like, yeah, I was there. I helped put that together. You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to look back 5 years from now and see what we have. So yes, thank y'all. And let's get into some basketball. I know that was a long intro. We were here for what, about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. This is what y'all been waiting for. The Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns. They are not having the typical year that we've expected for them to have, a trio that's costing about $150 million. You definitely didn't expect them to be 500 almost at the All-Star break, right? We're about halfway through the season. I believe we're actually literally halfway. I think they're 21-21. So halfway through the season, they're 500. But with the disappointment, with the way that this has panned out, right? Bradley Beal is now coming off the bench. They just don't look as good as a team, even with some of the offseason moves that I felt like were great, like bringing in Tyus Jones and Monte Morris with the little amount of movement that they could use or the little bit of resources that they had. That was dope to bring back Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen. Even this pass trade that they made to go get Nick Richards, I thought was dope because they just don't have a lot to work with. What they did yesterday was one of the most intriguing and like ballsiest things I've ever seen in the league. And I think it's going to set a tone and a trend around the association. So I want to break this down. The Phoenix Suns completed a trade yesterday with the Utah Jazz in which the Suns are going to be trading their 2031 unprotected first-round pick to the Jazz for 3 first-round picks in exchange. The reason this is substantial is because it unlocks a lot of the draft capital the Phoenix Suns have, right? Because we know you have the stipend rule, and if you trade a pick here, you trade a pick there, you can't trade multiple picks in consecutive years. So now getting these 3 picks back, it gives them more picks, but it kind of takes away that stipend rule and allows them to have a little bit more flexibility. Now, for the Utah Jazz, this is an incredible move because it gives them a high quality pick. Yes, they gave up more picks than what they got back, but the quality over the quantity here is substantial. 2031, we have no idea what the Phoenix Suns will look like, right? In 2031, that's 6 years from now. Devin Booker will be considered old. Kevin Durant will probably be out the league. Not even probably. He'll be out of the league. Who knows? Like 6 years from now, I'll be 35. I'll be really 36. I don't want to say it. But that's a lot. 6 years. The league that we're in today, right? It changes every 3 months. We're always a month away from something substantial happening. 6 months ago, Karl-Anthony Towns was a Timberwolf, right? 6 months ago, the NBA looked crazily different. I always reference the time where Kawhi Leonard won a championship with the Raptors, skipped town to go to the Clippers, and was able to convince the Clippers to go after Paul George, who had just signed an extension with the Thunder. And the landscape of the entire league changed in the snap of a finger. The Clippers went from a team that was cool to all of a sudden they had 2 of the top premier wing players in the league, and now we're a championship contender overnight, really. So when you think of the NBA from that perspective, and then you throw in how long 6 years is, that Utah Jazz pick that they now have in 2031, that could be I don't know, that could be a franchise defining pick when you think about it. Who knows what the prospect in 2030 is? What if the next Vic is going to be the headline of the 2031 draft class? You don't know, but that's going to be and it's unprotected. That's the other thing. You don't really hear that word too much in the NBA circles with draft picks, unprotected. It's always at least a 1 through 3, a 1 through 5, top 5, whatnot. So to break down the draft capital of the Utah Jazz after this trade, they're going to have 2 first-round picks in 2025. They're going to have a first-round pick in 2026. They have 3 first-round picks in 2027. They have a first-round pick in 2028. They have 2 first-round picks in 2029. They have a first-round pick in 2030. And now they have 2 first-round picks in 2031, their own, and then the Phoenix Suns. This is too many. Like, if I do the math real quick, this is 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. They have 12 picks from now until 2031. 12 first-round picks. That is a lot. And they've already used a bunch, right? They have one of the youngest teams in the NBA, if I'm not mistaken. They have too many prospects to put out on a court at once with their development. I actually am not a fan of the way that they have kind of rebuilt their team because I feel like they have so much going on at once that they still don't have a direction. But 12 picks over the next 6 years is nothing to take lightly. So from that perspective, that's a big W for the Utah Jazz. Back to the Phoenix Suns. This trade, to me, it signals to your roster of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, 2 guys that you want to keep happy, right? Matt Ishbia has told us time and time again that this team is going to compete. He's not interested in making any of these guys available, no matter how bad this starts to look. The first day of the job, when he took over the team, he went out and got Kevin Durant. So he really is a guy that is about action. He's saying what he means and he's meaning what he says. And I think this is kind of going to set a trend around the league. There was a report that came out today when I was on my way to the studio. Anthony Davis and LeBron James are not confident about what the Lakers are doing. I would not be surprised, if not necessarily now, but if not now, around the deadline after the season, around the offseason after the season, if the Lakers take the same approach, right? The Lakers have been storied to talk about this 2029 first-round pick, the 2031 first-round pick. If you are a team that has limited assets and you've mortgaged your future, but you have these picks that are so far away that they become valuable because we know in 2031, Anthony Davis or LeBron James won't be on the team, so we have to think that the Lakers are probably going to suck. If you have that type of asset, why use it? And again, no offense when I say this, but why use it to get Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant does not take this team over the top. Why use that pick to go get Robert Williams or Nikola Vucevic? Like, all of the people that I've seen linked to the Lakers that would involve this pick, they haven't been players that I think, oh, man, the Lakers are now the favorite. It's like, no, it makes them better. But you don't want to give up something that valuable to just get better marginally. You know what I mean? You don't want to barely get better. You want to now overnight become a team that's in that conversation. And then you also want to have a product on the floor that, kind of resembles what the expectation is. So I would not be surprised if we start to see teams like the Lakers, who don't have much asset capital, start to look at it and say, hey, can we take an asset that's as valuable as a 2031 first round pick and flip it for 4 picks? Now, granted, the 4 picks are not going to be that valuable. I wish I had the information on these picks, the 3 picks that the Suns got back. But I already know these aren't favorable picks. These might be late round, first round picks. These might be picks that they have to hit these requirements to convey. If not, it turns into 2 seconds. It might be those type of picks. But again, it unlocks everything else. And it gives you more to work with. The Phoenix Suns, because of the situation that they're in, they need these picks. They're going to first and foremost have to give up picks to go get the guy that they want, which is Jimmy Butler. Shout out to Jimmy Butler. I love the way he's handling this so far. And like I said, I shouted out Maddie at the beginning of the show. She's a Miami Heat fan. He wore the Phoenix Sun colored shoes yesterday in the loss against the Trailblazers. He came a couple weeks ago with the orange dreadlocks or braids in his head that was the same color as the sun. So he's not giving us the explosive moments, but he's giving us those along with the, you talk up your players. You don't talk down on them, that little coffee shop moment. I do feel like if this continues to drag out, Jimmy is going to start to be explosive. We might get another Rachel Nichols sit down type of moment. Jimmy Butler, I'm just going to throw this out here. If you want to have another one of those moments, you can use this platform, brother. You can come on here for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And if you want to air out everything, I feel like I'm the most wonderful host that you can have, because we can really dive into some of the gripes that you have with Miami and the organization and how it's been handled. So again, I'm going to extend that offer. Y'all take this, all of my Miami Heat fan base people, and y'all send it to Jimmy, tag him, whatever. Tell Jimmy to come on Teed Up, and he can really get teed up. He can curse. I ain't going to bleep him out. If you want to say I ain't gonna say it, but if you want to go off like that, come on here, Jimmy, and tell the world how you really feel. But anyway, in order for Phoenix to go out and get Jimmy Butler, they're going to have to send picks to Miami. But then you also have to send picks to teams to facilitate the trade, because around the league, it is said that nobody really wants Bradley Beal, or at least we thought nobody wanted Bradley Beal. So I love this move for that perspective. And then as of late, we did hear a team want Bradley Beal, which was the Milwaukee Bucks, which is going to tie all of this in. I know it sounds like I'm going all over the place, but we're really gearing up for a 3 to 5 team trade. And based off of all of this information, based off of this trade of the Suns getting all of these picks, it looks like the Suns will get Jimmy Butler in some sort of way. It's going to be way more than this, but the layout looks like the Suns get Jimmy Butler. The Milwaukee Bucks, the one team who has came out and said, hey, we would take Bradley Beal. We want him. They're the first team I heard say that during the season. I have not heard a team there's no report that I've seen on my phone. And I have some relationships. I know Shams personally. I have not had somebody tell me, I'm sorry, I'm getting notifications from Shams as we speak. No trade. I have not heard, oh man, this team would be interested in Bradley Beal. The Milwaukee Bucks are legitimately the first team this year that I've heard or read has interest in Bradley Beal, which shocked me and it blew my mind. So they would be getting Bradley Beal, the Bucks, and then I guess the Miami Heat or whatever extended facilitating teams will then get Chris Middleton in his contract. That's kind of like what I'm anticipating. And again, I don't know who's going to be the 4th team. I don't know who's going to be the 5th team. I don't know how they're going to facilitate things. But I'm looking at it from a lot of different ways, right? The Suns desperately want Jimmy Butler, and I get why. Jimmy Butler brings them attitude. He brings them toughness. He brings them a hard hat. All of the things that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant aren't great at doing, or maybe don't want to do, or are not known for doing, he's going to do. We've seen him do it plenty of times, and I think this actually would probably be one of the best fits for him. I love Jimmy Butler potentially going to the Rockets for his own personal gain. I know why the Rockets wouldn't want to go that route. They don't really need Jimmy Butler right now. But I felt like that was a young team. He was going to be able to come in and lead and do what he does, kind of how the first version of Miami was. But outside of the Rockets, from a double side perspective, he gives them what they need and they give him what he needs. They give him all of the talent in the world that he has been wanting to play with, right? One of the things I feel like that's his gripe is that Miami has missed out on landing some of the guys like Damian Lillard or Bradley Beal when he was available with the Wizards, and Kevin Durant and the Kyrie Irvings. They've missed out on all of these guys, while a lot of the teams around the league have gone and got them. And Miami has not only missed out on those guys, but they have just kind of brung back things that are incomparable. You miss out on Damian Lillard and you bring Terry Rozier in, and rightfully so, Jimmy Butler is going to be a little bit frustrated. But from an X's and O's perspective, when you talk about having a point of attack defender, he would check the box for that for Phoenix, because right now they don't have that. You don't want to task that of Kevin Durant. You don't want to task that onto Devin Booker. If you start Royce O'Neal, are you sacrificing the shooting of Grayson Allen? He gives you that. Jimmy Butler also can play off of these guys. He's an extremely good cutter. He's a good rebounder. He can make plays. He can have moments when those two guys go on the bench. He can carry a second unit. He can carry the first unit. There's nights where Jimmy Butler is going to take over games and win you a game by himself. You add these things to the Suns, and I see exactly why they have value in him, especially after going out and getting Nick Richards. Jimmy Butler changed the entire trajectory of the Suns. He changes how I view them. He changes, I think, the way the entire NBA put it. I read an article today that said, an executive, or a player rather, from a rival team said the NBA doesn't want this to happen. And I'm not talking about the higher ups. I'm just saying from a team-by-team perspective, people don't want Jimmy Butler to go to the Suns because he can unlock the real scariness of this team. He can unlock that and take them to an entirely different level. And I think it's going to satisfy Kevin Durant. I think it would satisfy Devin Booker. I think it would satisfy him. They've already been rumored to have a contract extension there for him. So now all of the talks of, man, if you're not able to make anything happen, you can't salvage the season. If the Suns get swept again, or if they're a first-round exit again, how much longer will Kevin Durant want to stay there? Does Devin Booker become available? The Houston Rockets already have their eyes on him. All of these domino effect things happen. But if you bring in Jimmy Butler, you kind of quiet that. You give yourself a little bit more breathing room, and you are better. You are better. So I love this for the Phoenix Suns. I love when teams double down. I love when teams say to their stars, hey, I want to give you every chance I can to win. I went out and got you, Kevin Durant. I don't want to waste your time. I know you in the last stretch of your career. I'm not here to waste your time. Yeah, this may not be the smartest thing to do for the future, for the next 10 years. When we get to 2031, we'll worry about it then. Right now, I have Kevin Durant, I have Devin Booker, and I owe it to them to do everything in my power to put around them a team that they can compete with. And I know as an organization and as an owner and as a GM, if I do that, I can walk away from this situation knowing I did the best that I could. And if we don't reach what we need to reach, it then falls on the players because I went out and did what they asked. Hold that thought because we're going to circle around on that point to talk about something before we transition. The Bucks. The only way that this makes sense for me with the Bucks is if they're able to get some type of draft capital by taking Bradley Beal. There is not a scenario that I've seen yet where Bradley Beal can be moved from the Phoenix Suns without draft compensation being involved. That's why, again, the Utah Jazz trade was significant. If the Bucks are thinking, hey, we can get Brad, he is going to help us in some ways. We think Bradley Beal will be much better as a basketball player here than what we've seen in Phoenix. But also on to that, we can get a little bit more, some draft capital that can maybe parlay into something else we can do to find another creative way to get us better in some other areas as well. Because we need draft capital. We don't have too much here either. If that's the way they're thinking, I'm not mad at that either. But they have to be sure, in my opinion. Chris Middleton is coming off 2 ankle procedures. He has this year on his contract, and then he has a $30-something million player option. Bradley Beal, over the next 2 years, is owed $111 million. He is around $20 or so million more expensive than Chris Middleton. So if you do this deal, you need to have some sort of idea or confidence that it will make you better. Because one thing that Chris Middleton gives you, even at the slow pace right now, and he's only playing around 20, 23 minutes a game. It's not the typical Chris Middleton we've seen. He's averaging the 3rd lowest amount of points in his career. He hasn't averaged this low of points since the first year in Milwaukee, his sophomore season. I know it's like that. But when you look into the production, it's pretty damn good, considering that he's only playing 23 minutes, considering his age, considering that he just came off an offseason again with the 2 ankle procedures. He's efficient as hell. His assisting numbers are terrific. He's accepted a role where he's coming off the bench. He has the chemistry with Giannis. He already won a championship there. He's a part of the organization from that perspective. You have that security in that. And he's $20 million or so more cheaper. Plain and simple. He's cheaper. So if you do this deal, if you're Milwaukee, you have to have the confidence that you have a plan to properly utilize Bradley Beal as a player, because as we've seen so far in Phoenix, though he is talented, if you don't have a plan, it not only will not help you, it's going to look disgusting. Bradley Beal is a $50 million player coming off the bench right now for Phoenix. And though I am a person that's in agreement with that move, the logistics of it, the optics of it, is just disgusting. It's disgusting. And then the last team, Miami. I like this for Miami. If Miami is able to walk away with some draft capital, if they're able to walk away with a Chris Middleton and whatever else is going to happen, I like it. Right now, when I look at the Miami Heat, they're 4-6 in their last 10. They just lost to a Portland Trailblazer team that, if you ask me, they're a lot better than. Jimmy Butler being on his team, being in the locker room, playing the games, having a suspension, it's a cloud over this team. And though I'm not here to tell you that the Miami Heat are a championship aspiration team, they're a championship contender, no. But I think they are a much better team than what we've seen this season because they are carrying the weight of having this cloud hang over the roster. And I know Pat Riley doesn't want to accept that players are as powerful as they are, right? He doesn't want to make it seem like Jimmy Butler is going to get what he wants and is going to control the situation. But what would you rather do? Would you rather have this season be shelved because you want to have this personal battle with Jimmy Butler? Or do you accept the fact that, hey, all right, Jimmy Butler's going to win this, but we're going to find a way to get value as well. By getting rid of Jimmy Butler, we now open up this locker room. We don't have that cloud and that distraction anymore. We get a player back or a couple of players and some draft capital, and we go into a new era an era that will have Khalil Ware doing his thing and Bam Adebayo playing a little bit of four and Nikola Jovic maybe getting some more confidence and taking some more steps. And Tyler Hero is becoming an all-star level player. There's a direction that you can go. It won't be championship level, but I think it would be a sigh of relief to just move past this. Spoelstra can know who's there and who's committed, and you just move past the cloud hanging over the roster. And I think once that happens, everybody is able to lock in. Tyler Hero is the one that said it, I think, a week or so ago. It's been chaos. It's hard to play in chaos. And Jimmy Butler, I respect you, and I respect the fact that you would never cheat the game, so you don't like when people say that you're not giving effort, because I do agree with you that is disrespectful to the game. You're out there, you're giving effort, for sure playing hard, but you're not playing your best. You're clearly distracted. One of the games I seen Jimmy Butler play, I forget who it was, maybe the Nuggets a few games ago. He only took 7 shots. He had like 9 points or 8 points on 7 shots. That's just not that's not what you want from your highest paid, quote unquote, best player, right? And even when people have to question your effort or how much locked in you are, that's a sign of saying you're probably not as locked in. But again, as a professional player, I don't want to call out your effort level because, again, I know that's disrespectful to the game. And, players have a certain pride that they don't want to insinuate that they're out there on the floor just going through the motions. But that's kind of what it feels like and seems like. And as much as Jimmy Butler does that, the team takes a significant hit, right? I personally don't think that the Miami Heat should ever be in a position to lose to a Portland Trailblazer team that is kind of tanking. They're rebuilding. They don't really even know what they're doing over there. And for them to beat you the way that they did, not only did they beat you, they beat the hell out of you. To me, that was embarrassing. To me, that is a sign where if I'm the owner, if I am the GM, if I'm the coach, if I'm Pat Riley, I'm saying, okay, enough is enough. Enough is enough. They are, ninth in the East right now? The only team you're above in the Eastern Conference is the Bulls. And the Bulls are a team that we don't know what they're doing at all, so you can't pat yourself on the back for that. Like, nah, let's escape this. You owe it more to your fan base. You owe it to the players in the locker room that are showing up every day, that are putting on their hard hat, trying to win games. Move on, call it a day, get value while you can, and do what the Miami Heat do. The Miami Heat, to me, as a Knicks fan, I don't like the Heat, but I respect the Heat. And the reason I respect them is because they always find a way. They always find a way. So don't be the bitter girlfriend now or the bitter boyfriend now trying to hang on and be patty with Jimmy Butler. Nah, do it the Miami Heat way. Hey, you want out, Jimmy? See you later. We pack your bags for you, because one thing about Miami, we're prestigious. We're going to figure it out. Even in a time like now where it's like, who is going to replace Jimmy Butler? Don't worry about it. Give us 2 years. We'll find the next guy. That's how I felt when they did with LeBron, right? If you're able to walk away from LeBron, you can walk away from anybody. And sure enough, it looked like, damn, the Miami Heat letting LeBron go. They tripping. They about to take a huge step back. And then it was, drafting Justice Winslow's of the world and whatnot for a couple of years. The whole Dwayne Wade thing, letting him leave. And then right after that, you got Jimmy Butler and you went to 2 NBA finals. One as a play-in team. Historic. So shout out to the Miami Heat, shout out to the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks, because ultimately I think this is going to be the trade that, if it does happen, it saves the deadline, which I'm going to transition to an overall perspective of the NBA trade deadline. Y'all, I'm going to be real with you. My excitement level is like a roller coaster. I get reports like the Jimmy Butler stuff. I get reports like today on my way here that I mentioned, where LeBron and Anthony Davis is telling the Lakers, like, come on, we want to compete. That gets me excited because it's like, oh, something's going to happen. But then you see how much this stuff gets stalled. You didn't hear, like, you try to put the trades together and see what could really happen, what's really out there. And you're like, this could be a trade deadline that don't shit happen. We've been talking about rumors for almost 2 months now. Right? December 15th was, or no, not 2 months. I'm moving too fast. A month and some change. December 15th or 16th was like, or the 13th was a day that, like, you could trade all of the recently signed guys from the offseason. That was like where the lift went away, where guys could be eligible to be traded. And the only trade we got was Nick Richards and Josh Okogie. It's been a lot of room. Oh, we had Dennis Schroeder too. It's just been a lot of talk, right? It's been just rumor. Cam Johnson was supposed to be traded 2 weeks ago, right? Jeremy Grant was supposed to be traded 2 years ago. Kyle Kuzma was supposed to be traded 2 years ago. I have no idea how we can have an exciting trade deadline if Jimmy Butler in this 5-team deal does not happen. And as a person who loves this time of the year, I'm preparing myself to be disappointed. And one of the things I said about the Suns when I talked about them in the Jimmy Butler fiasco was like, shout out to a team that's doing everything in their power to like show that their star players, we're trying to do everything we can do. The reason I brought that up is because the Warriors. The Warriors are a team that I was excited for multiple reasons. I was excited, number one, because I thought they were going to be a much better team coming into the season. I had them as a top 6 team in the Western Conference, comfortably making the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs right now. They're not even in the play-in currently as of today. So that's a huge setback. And then number two, you hear the way that they talking all over the place. Like, hey, man, if a trade happen, we do it. But we ain't in a rush to do nothing. We can win what we got. We don't want to mortgage our future. It sounds good. But again, you owe it to Steph Curry. You owe it to Steph Curry more than anybody in the league owes it to anybody. The Lakers don't really owe LeBron much. They owe him a little bit. He brought a championship there. It's LeBron James. So by default, based off what he done to the league and for the league, you owe him a little bit. But theoretically, the Lakers have been the Lakers with or without LeBron James. The Phoenix Suns, they may owe it to Kevin Durant because he's on the team. But in reality, they don't owe him much. He ain't done shit for them. He's only been there for a couple of years. They may owe it to Devin Booker more than anybody. But again, Devin Booker took him to what, one finals run? When I grew up, or when I was growing up, the Warriors were a laughing stock. They sucked. They weren't on shit. Like, nothing about the Warriors was dope. You didn't even pick the Warriors on 2K. Like seriously. It was until like the We Believe, and then you had the Monte Ellis type years. But like prior to that, the Troy Murphy, the left-hand Troy Murphy from Notre Dame who could shoot the three, like a little stretch four, that shit was nothing. Nobody was. Jason Richardson gave you a little excitement because he had some dunks he could do, and he was in a dunk contest. That was the highlight for them. To see Steph Curry come in, not as a number 1 overall pick, the babyface assassin who put on a nice March Madness run that could shoot the ball a little bit, to see what he's done to this franchise, I feel like you owe double the amount of future. If you could trade your 2057 first round pick to get Steph Curry some help, damn it, you should be doing it. And Steph Curry, don't let anybody convince you otherwise. They owe it to you, bro. Now, yeah, I agree. Should you be doing any damn thing? Should you be trading all your future away to go get Robert Williams and Jeremy Grant and only do a trade that's going to help you get 4 games better? No. Nobody's ever going to suggest being a jackass. No. But to think that you can stay pat and to think that Steph Curry, number 1, deserves, and your fan base deserves to see the last years of Steph Curry outside of the playoffs. They didn't make it last year. They're on the verge of not making it this year. 2 years in the last years of his career where he's still playing phenomenal basketball. You're at home. You can't even get, like, you might not even make the play-in this year. That's crazy. That's insane. And so, again, that's why, though it might not be the smartest, it may not be the most logical thing to do what the Suns are doing, I respect it. Because you're telling your franchise and your team, I am committed to winning so bad that I'll deal with that 10 years from now. I'll deal with that 6 years from now. Right now, it's one thing and one thing on my mind, and that's to win. I don't get that feel from the Warriors based off what everybody is saying. Draymond has made comments. Steph has made comments. Kerr has made comments. I believe Mike Dunleavy has made comments. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed as hell. And they're another team that, to me, had some of the pieces to make a deadline type of move to entice it. What's going to happen with Jonathan Kuminga? Dang on him that we might get some trades. They got the $20-something million with Andrew Wiggins contract. You know what I mean? They got the Buddy Hield. Because they have things that, from a fan perspective, from media perspective, you look at teams around the league, they have things that can make a trade happen. What trade? I don't know. But it looks like they're going to stand pat. And again, that's just extremely, extremely disappointing to me, being a fan of Steph Curry that I am, and seeing the Western Conference be everything but like solidified. Don't get me wrong, OKC is dangerous. OKC is dangerous, but they're not unbeatable. They still haven't done anything. They're not like this untouchable team where you just shelve away the rest of the season. Like, oh, no matter what we do, OKC is just going to storm through the playoffs. That's how the Celtics looked last year. None of the Eastern Conference teams gave a damn. They still said, hey, we're going to find ways to get better. The Knicks doubled down. The Cavs stayed pat, made minor moves, and trusted their sit. Look at them now. The Pistons are putting things together. The Magic, right, which is going to lead me into my next part of this trade deadline segment or piece. My buyers and my sellers. Buyers and sellers. The play-in has made this conversation prolonged, in my opinion. I feel like there was a clear-cut buyers and sellers group a lot earlier in the year because there was no play-in. So a team that's the 12th or 11th seed are kind of like, we should just sell. Now there's this false hope where there might be 11 and 12 seeded teams that might be buying because they feel like, hey, if we win 3 more games, we can be the 10th seed and make the play-in. And then if we get into the play-in, we can take that and make it to the playoffs. You have this kind of delusion in the back of your mind that makes you sit on your assets a little bit more or think that you're buying and not selling. Some of the teams that I think should be buyers, I think the Memphis Grizzlies should be buyers. The way that they've played this year, the way Ja Morant looks, Jaren Jackson looks, the way that Desmond Bain has started to come on lately. You got Zach Edey, Jalen Wells. You have depth. You have contracts. You have picks. I think they are a move away from being a legitimate force in the Western Conference. And they are a team to me that on paper thus far can rival an OKC in a 7-game series, especially if they go and make a move that I think they can. I was very disappointed to hear that Jimmy Butler had no interest in going there. I felt like he was perfect for the grit and grind mentality and to go in there in that young locker room and just add to the grit, add to the swagger of like, we don't give a F. You know what I mean? That's what they have. They have a chip on their shoulder. Dylan Brooks left. You bring in Jimmy Butler. He's an even better player. You got the team for the dogs. I would have loved to see that in the Western Conference. I was so disappointed that they had to take themselves out of that picture because Jimmy Butler's like, hey, nah, I'm cool. I want to go to Phoenix. They should be buying, whether that's Cam Johnson. I seen a trade where they were getting Denny Avia from the Blazers. I would go do that. You got what it takes to make a deal like that happen. You got the Luke Kennard contract. You got Brandon Clark's contract. I know Brandon Clark feels like a guy that you don't want to see any other jersey, but you got that contract. You got the Marcus Smart $20 million. You can go make some moves, and I want to see them be aggressive buyers because this could be a pivotal year for them, and they have all of the depth. Anybody that you lose in one of those trades, any of those names that I brought up, the roster says to me that you have replacements. Gigi Jackson just returned. Vince Williams Jr. will be back at some point. Scottie Pippen Jr. looks good. You have what it takes. Santi Aldama. Don't get me started. This roster is deep. It's talented. You're flexible enough to make moves. Memphis, please be buying. The Pistons. The Pistons are now like the Sacramento Kings from a few years ago. I feel like when I see Pistons players or games being talked about on my timeline, it's embraced by the entire community. Nobody is rooting against the Pistons unless you're playing against their team that night. But for the most part, they're like the darlings and the sweetheart of the association right now. We want to see them in the playoffs. We want to see them competing. They lost 28 games straight last year. They're now in the playoff picture. Cade Cunningham is looking like a all-star. Mark Spears yesterday said put him in the MVP conversation. Wasn't the craziest shit I ever heard. I damn near agreed. Wink, wink. Shout out to Cade Cunningham. I may be biased. Go get that man in the playoffs. We want to see it happen. The Cavs. I am a believer that when you're playing how you play the Cavs or how the Cavs are playing, double down. Trust me, I come from the belief that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I believe in that. But I also believe in, hey, Drake got the line, why you shooting if you know he dead? I can't say the full line. He's like, why you shooting if you know that dead? The point is, Drake is saying in the line, hey, I'm shooting until the clip is empty. I don't care. I'm going overkill. And I want to see the Cavs do that. So when I see the Cavs linked to Cam Johnson, I'm like, that's what I want to see. Go overkill. Go overkill. Be as strong as you can be. The playoffs are unpredictable. The playoffs are different. You can never be too good. You can never be too sure. Go make it happen. I had the same philosophy for OKC. OKC, y'all looking real good. Y'all the best team in the NBA. You got the highest odds of winning NBA Finals. But if there is a move out there that makes sense for y'all, go do it. Kill the league. Take over the league. Take over the league. Don't be fair in the NBA because any other team could do it. They're not going to be fair to y'all. Double up. Be smart while doing so. But definitely don't sit around like, oh, man, we good. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Be the greatest team that you can be. We saw what the Warriors did. The Warriors ain't say, hey, we can go get Kevin Durant, but no, we want to be fair. No, they went and got Kevin Durant. I remember when they went and got Boogie. They thought they got Boogie for the low, right? They had a starting 5 of all-stars trying to run through the league. Granted, injuries came into play, so we ain't really ever get to see the full effect of that starting 5. But even just the audacity for them to do that was like a big middle finger to the league. Like they're like this to everybody. We don't care. We gonna get as many all-stars as we can. Do something about it. So do it back, OKC. Do it back, Cleveland. The Pacers. Pacers are slowly but surely starting to turn their season around. I still don't think it's enough. They got too many bodies over there. They got contractual money that I feel like can be flipped. And I can't put my finger on it, but it's a piece or a player that it just feels like they're away. And again, this is going to be a very pivotal offseason for them. They must retain Miles Turner. They're going to have to pay Benedict Mathurin and understand what his value is. They already extended Andrew Nembhard. They already paid Pascal. You already paid Tyrese Halliburton. You extended Aaron Nesmith. You don't have that much money left. So start to make that money work. You don't want to be a first-round exit, or you don't want to be, have a disappointing year with that high of a payroll. But I do feel like there is something out there that can make them even better and get back to one of the top teams out east. Last couple of teams I got is buyers: Clippers, Warriors, and Kings. I talked about the Warriors a little bit. They won't buy. They're a disappointment. The Clippers, defensively, you're looking incredible, right? And without Kawhi, James Harden was able to keep that offense afloat enough to win some games. Zubac is probably the most underrated center in the NBA. I think I said that last year. I'm going to double down on it this year as well. Norman Powell was playing like one of the oldest MIP players ever. And now Kawhi is back. So things are looking really, really good for the Clippers, man. In a year where a lot of us counted them out because we had no idea what Kawhi was going to come back and just the roster construction. No, they have a lot of things going on. They got $11 million contract that's just sitting around waiting to be moved in PJ Tucker. You can attach that with a Terrence Mann deal and some other stuff that you got going on over there. And you can definitely go out and get you a Robert Williams or whatever that's on the market that you are intrigued by. So shout out to the Clippers. I want to see something happen. And then the Kings, you just like the Pacers, you turned your season around. Just double down on it, man. You owe it to the fan base. And again, you're playing for something much more bigger than the success of the season. You have to keep De'Aaron Fox happy with being in Sacramento. He is your big domino piece. If he says, I'm unhappy, trade me, everything else goes out of the window. You're not retooling this team. You're barely in a picture with them. So let alone trading them. That means that everything else has to go. So those are some of my buyers. As far as sellers, the Pelicans. Sell everything except Trey Murphy and Yves Missy. Sell it all. CJ McCollum, sell. DeJounte, I would sell. Ingram, sell. Zion, I don't think I'm selling Zion. I don't think I'm selling on him. I know they feel different. I'm not selling on him just because I think you're going to have to sell too low. And just that small chance of him getting shit back on track and getting back to that level, it would just scare me to trade. I would give it another year. But everybody else is gone. So I'm keeping Trey Murphy. I'm keeping Zion. I'm keeping Yves Missy. And I'm keeping Jordan Hawkins. Everything else, free to go. You might have to keep DeJounte because of the business and the politics, how much you gave up to get him, and now that Dyson Daniels is killing over in Atlanta, you may have to keep him. Everybody else is available. The Trailblazers, man. This is the third year of us doing this. Anthony Simon should be available. Jeremy Grant should be available. Robert Williams available. DeAndre Ayton available. Denny Avia available. Everybody should be available outside of Scoot, Shaden Sharp, and Donovan Clingan and Tamani Kamara. But if somebody is calling you with a crazy offer for Tamani Kamara or Kamara, I'm doing a trade. If y'all think he is like that, because the value that he's given us is good, but because we're not a winning team, it's not as valuable as it could be. So if a team is willing to give us 2 first-round picks, we're doing it, right? We're doing it. The Nets, come on, man, let's get this shit going. Trade Cam Johnson, trade Nick Claxton. Yeah, I've seen rumors with that. Find something to do with Ben Simmons. Let's get this shit going. Y'all prolonging some of these trades, and I appreciate y'all doing the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. I appreciate y'all doing the Dennis Schroeder trade, but I've been looking forward to the Cam Johnson sweepstakes. He's like, outside of Jimmy Butler, is the most intriguing player that I feel like a lot of teams have interest in, and he's going to be a big domino effect in the trade deadline. When he is traded, a lot of teams will have to shift their focus to other players and other moves. So let's get it going. I almost called you New Jersey, Brooklyn. And let's start to turn that season around so y'all can get as high of a pick as y'all can get, because y'all winning and being competitive in a lot of games. And then the last 2 teams, the Bulls, right? Bulls, come on. Trade Zach, trade Vooch. I'm ready to see them in new places. Zach is one of my favorite players in the entire NBA. I want to see him playing competitive basketball. We only got a small look of that. And Vucevic, I think, could be a nice center on the move for like a Golden State Warrior team, or, the Lakers, or whoever is trying to, big up in the front court. Hell, my Knicks may need to pick up the phone and call there. And then the last but not least is going to come to a surprise, the Sixers. Sixers, can the season, suck, get your 1 through 6 top protected pick, do what you can to make sure you keep that pick and retain it. Let Embiid enjoy the rest of the season off of his feet, get as fully as healthy as possible. Paul George, let's keep you at a low minutes, low usage, keep you healthy as well, and keep you on ice. Same with Maxey. We're not going to do it as much as for you, because you're young and you're going to want to play, but we're going to lose. We're going to lose. And so by that, we're going to make Martin available. We may make Yabusele. We may make Oubre. They don't have too many shit that teams will be calling for, but we just making everybody available and just seeing what we can do, because we want to suck and we want to keep our top 1 through 6 protected pick. And yeah, man, that's my buyers. That's my sellers. Some of my favorite trade targets at the deadline: Cam Johnson, Robert Williams, Zach LaVine, Denny, Ingram, CJ, Vucevic. And I'm also going to throw my boy, not Caleb Martin, but Cody Martin for the Hornets. I think Cody Martin, I said it on the podcast, he is a guy that will be a low-cost player who can come in and really, really change some of the tides for some of these contending teams. I wouldn't be mad if my Knicks got him. I wouldn't be. I love players who can do a little bit of everything. You know what I'm saying? But that's my trade deadline segment. Y'all let me know in the comments how y'all feel about any of this that was said. I know we have a lot of different fans from a lot of different fan bases. If you're a Miami Heat fan, how are you feeling right now? Let the comments really be a safe haven for you to really just speak your mind and really just let us know what's really going on out there, especially my Miami fans that are in Miami. Are you sad while you're on that beach in that good weather while I'm here driving through snow? Are you are not enjoying the humidity while Jimmy Butler is gearing up to go to the Phoenix Suns? Let me know. Phoenix, how are you feeling? Potentially getting Jimmy Butler. Do you like stupid moves? Do you like mortgaging your future? Milwaukee, Bradley Beal. You in on Bradley or not? Let us know in the comments. And anything else that was said about the trade deadline. We're going to start to transition to Q's with P. And this is where I get a chance to introduce my producer, Christian. I hope y'all are ready to meet him. Look at him. Cute young man with the jerseys behind him. Shaved face, no facial hair. That boy look like a Yankee. You're muted. See, it's already a rookie mistake. He's already muted.
You see, I got my Penny jersey for you.
Oh man, that's Memphis State Penny, 25. Yeah, you don't know nothing about that, man. You was too young. So was I. So was I.
DH
How we feeling? What we got?
I wanted to clarify the Suns picks.
Oh,
from
yes.
That trade. So from the Rudy and Donovan trades, they have Cavs Timberwolves picks, and then they have their own picks. So in 2025, this year, 2027, 2029, they get the worst of those three. So basically, you're lucky if it's a top 24 pick.
But picks that I would take. if I'm taking on Bradley Beal.
Of course. And Isaiah Collier just went 29. Jalen Wells just went 39th. Of course, better than nothing to have a shot at somebody.
My favorite late first round pick as of recent. Can you guess? If I tell you the draft, if I tell you the college, you'll be able to get it.
Late first round pick in the last how many years?
Last like 5 or 6. Played for Jamie Dixon. I don't know if you know college coaches.
Oh, Desmond Bane.
Desmond Bane.
No?
So I feel you.
Yeah.
You know, late first round picks are not bad to me. OG Anunoby was a late first round pick in the 20s, I believe. Pascal was. You named a few. So yeah, there's some value there. There's definitely some value there. What we got with Q's and with P, man? I'm excited to introduce this segment, and I'm excited to see what they have. I have no idea what any of these questions are. I just want to let the viewers know. But Christian talked y'all up. He said there was a lot of questions that were damn near overwhelming, but he also said that they were really, 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 really good. So I'm a little bit excited to see what y'all have. Hopefully y'all don't let me down.
So in less than 24 hours that we sent out this form, we got 340 submissions.
300.
So many good questions. So many questions that, we have a bank now. So we're going to be able to keep this segment going. And so don't be upset if we didn't use your question. But to start off, I thought Felipe had a great one. How did you come up with the name for the show? Why did you name the show Teed Up?
So for one of the first times ever, I didn't come up with the name. I was given some names, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. Teed Up was one where I was kind of like, Kat gave me a list of names, and Kat is in the little chat thing. But I was kind of like, I like Teed Up. I don't love it. So I remember telling Kat, like, you know what? Let's hold on to Teed Up. Give me a week. And normally with names that I've came up with for other different stuff, segments and whatnot, it usually just kind of hits me. I don't really go searching for it too much. But nothing came. Nothing was popping up for me. My main thing, again, when we talk about bringing a vision to life, was corniness. I think corniness is good. I'm corny at times, but I just feel like we're in a space right now where all of the podcasts are like the step back, the pick and roll, the give and go podcast. I didn't want anything like that. So I was trying to figure out what could like bring everything together. And I just felt like Through the Wire, Numbers on the Board, and Heliocentric, that trio, though I'm not responsible for every single name, but that trio is just so hard to top that every time I'm thinking about a name now, cap or no cap, I am the creator. I don't know if you know that, Christian. Do you know that? I created Cap or No Cap. So when you see ESPN doing it, when you see whoever doing, I created that. I'm not sure if you know. We did a little research and we tried to go back as far as we could to see if anybody ever had a segment called Cap or No Cap. Nobody can prove that they've ever used a segment called Cap or No Cap prior to when Through the Wire introduced it years ago.
Well, damn, that's impressive.
That's that. Yeah, like I didn't go around saying that I created it, but when we thought about it and we did our because we started to do Cap or No Cap years ago on Through the Wire, and then like ESPN used it on one of their shows, and we was like, hold up, where y'all get that from? And then I kept seeing it, and then I did something else. I did another show with Stadium. Where I was a guest on one of their shows, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this game today called Cap or No Cap." And I'm like, "Wait. Where did y'all get Cap or No Cap from? Like, where did?" And they're like, it's just like, no, I agree, and that's where I figured out I'm the creator. So when you have these type of creations with these titles, there's pressure, and I blanked out. But Kat came with Teed Up. I can't remember the other options. There was one that was like, what was the other one? Push and P. That one was a little bit too much on the corny side. So I like Teed Up. It felt more of me. Y'all know I'm the person on the show that's turned up, that's always yelling and screaming. I felt like even when we made the promotional thing for the podcast, Christian, you were able to go find clips of me being teed up very easily, and they fit the entire theme of the show. So that's ultimately why. I don't know how much screaming and yelling I'm gonna do here because I don't really have anybody I'm debating, but my passion still comes out when like I see idiotic things. But that's really where the title comes from. Shout out to Kat.
Kat just sent me through some of the other ones from the initial
Mind your
brainstorm. You want to
P's
hear them?
with
Here you
Pierre
go.
Andreessen. Call My Bluff is not bad, but I feel like I would have had to have a co-host. Like hypothetically, if I got a call and it was like, we want you to do a show with Andre Iguodala, Call My Bluff would be a dope 2-person show. Teed Up with Pierre Andreessen, Baseline Chronicles, Push and P, Double Up, and the Toss Up. I like Teed Up.
I like it too. So shout out Felipe.
Shout out to
For
Nipsey,
that
Double
question.
Up. Yes, absolutely.
I love that song. My vision for this segment, P, is that like our trailer, basketball is art, it's life, it's culture. I view you as obviously a very intelligent basketball mind, but
Thank you.
as a guy who can speak on so many different areas. So I'm encouraging, and we got questions like this, but I'm encouraging questions about music, life, pop culture, anything. But as P mentioned, I'm a college basketball guy. As much as I love the NBA, I love my college basketball. And it was Ethan who wants to know who your pick to win the NCAA title is this year.
That is very tough, Ethan. Thank you for putting me on the spot. This is why it's tough. In today's age, for me personally, I'm just not. I'm not sold on. Okay, I don't want to. I try not to be long winded, but I have to remember this is my show. I can talk for how much I want to. Here's the thing. The NIL, right? And the interview that I did that you guys are going to see soon, me and that guest talked about this a little bit. But what the NIL does, which we love, is pays players. But it makes the movement of players so rapid because of the portal now. Like everybody's switching teams so much. So when I see these top teams doing what they do, it's hard for me to buy into it because there's a certain factor that some championship teams always have. There's a like Virginia with Tony Bennett. Like when they had Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter, when they had I'm blanking, he's playing for the kid, Ty Jerome. That team was together for years. There's a certain amount of chemistry, a certain amount of battles that they went through that brings together a championship unit. I don't know how much we had. Like for instance, the Kentucky team that they have, it's doing really good. It's a solid group of players. They're playing really good for Mark Pope, but it's still so fresh and so new that I'm not a believer in some of these top teams, and I think that's why we're seeing a little bit more of upsets because some of the smaller teams are the teams that are staying together for at least a couple of years and having some type of chemistry. But with that being said, I'm gonna go with Alabama. Nate Oates is my guy. I love the way that they play. I think they got depth, they got versatility, they got size. Offensively, no Nate Oates team is going to lack offensively. They're just not going to. And I think you have to have strong guard play, and they have that in abundance. So give me Alabama. I feel like I've picked Alabama over the last few years. This has to be their year, right? One of these years is going to be the year, and I think this is probably it.
I love the pick, by the way. I love the pick.
Thank you.
Not many teams. I tell people that Alabama aesthetically looks the most like an NBA team of any college basketball team, but it's been this way for a few
It
years.
has.
They were number
Yes.
one overall seed when they had Brandon Miller,
Mm-hmm.
and then last year obviously make the Final Four, and they got they hit your mark of having key pieces of guys who've been through the tournament. But then you got Aiden Holloway's one of the best, was really really good, and he's just a guy that plays 20 minutes off the bench, and then like Stevenson, they got
I
Phylon, they got
love
NBA
Stevenson.
guys like.
Love Stevenson. Reminds me a little bit of what I used to see from Noah Clowney a couple
Mm,
years ago with them. So you hitting it right on the head. That's why I really like them a lot, man. I think it's going to be that way for the next. Like Nate Oates is Penny Hardaway is my favorite player, so I love Memphis and I support him as a coach. But if I tell people all the time, if I was a top prospect, if I was a McDonald All American, I'm going to play for Nate Oates. When you watch his interviews, you watch his philosophy, you see some of the things he's doing in the practices. Nate Oates has a 4-point line in his practice. He's like that ahead of the curve. Like the way that he talks the game is just it's geared to make you a professional basketball player. It's very analytical. I'm not always the most analytical, but it also promotes being a basketball player and a natural basketball player. So I'm a big Nate Oates fan. I love Nate Oates. we actually have to have a conversation to potentially get Nate Oates on here at some point. So Alabama, I say all that to say Alabama's my pick.
One last Nate Oates thing. Something I love about him is he was like the first coach to publicly be like, why does everyone automatically sub out a guy when they get 2 fouls in the first half? Like, it doesn't really mathematically make sense. And you've seen teams do that. In Alabama, he doesn't care because
Math guy.
he's the math teacher. He's the math
He's a math guy. Exactly. And the only reason I'm not going to go in on that point, my younger brother, who was a senior in high school, his coach does that, and it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. So I'm gonna just leave it there because that is like a PTSD thing that you're kind of reworking up. My brother had 2 fouls in a very important game, and he got taken out. You know how many fouls my brother ended that game with as a guard who doesn't foul much? He ended with 2 fouls. So you took him out to save him because he was in foul trouble, just for him to not commit another foul the entire game, which means you probably could have allowed him to play. I rest my case.
2 more. Alex wants to know, everyone talks about the West being so loaded, but how many Western teams do you actually think have a chance to win the finals?
How many Western Conference teams? I'll say 2 as of now. I think the Thunder, and then I believe in the Nuggets. The reason I say for now is because the trade deadline is obviously approaching, and like I talked about in the trade deadline segment, the Grizzlies have the ability to go out and make a move that can change the trajectory of them for the rest of the season. The Houston Rockets, the 2nd seed right now, they're just too young. Just quite frankly, they're too young. The Lakers are such influx of what's going to happen with them, especially with the report that came out today. They may now panic because LeBron and Anthony Davis showing some concern, and then they may make a move that they regret. Hopefully not. The Clippers, very, very encouraging year. But again, when you talk about championship, I think that's kind of a pipe dream there. So I really would say 2 and maybe 3, depending on what the Memphis Grizzlies do at the deadline.
Cool. I got a great bank. The audience did a fantastic job with these. But Gio Mary says, this is the most generic question that maybe no one would ask. But what truly inspires you the most to continue doing your work and just living life and everything? And I don't know if that's too deep for episode
just
1.
Living life and what?
Cool,
how did it end?
Living life, etc. is word for word.
What inspires me was the question?
Yeah.
Life itself. Honestly, it is a very good question, very deep question. It's not as generic as he made it seem. But yeah, life itself. I love life. I'm just one of those people. I enjoy waking up and doing what I do. And that's just how it is. And the older I get also, the more minimized life becomes. So when I was younger, I was so eager for big moments, right? Like, especially when you're super young, it's like Christmas, your birthday, and then but when basketball is starting, the NBA fight, you have these big moments that you keep looking forward to. The older I get, the like I'm looking forward to the next day. Like I just get to the next day, and then especially after COVID, it's just a blessing, and it's just super, super great to just be alive and be like stress free. I'm in a position to where I can help people. I can give advice. I have a platform. I have a job that I love to do. So I just enjoy waking up and being a happy person. There is so much to be unhappy about. There are so many people going through so many different things in real life that I really don't have to go through. I have my own set of issues because nobody is living the perfect life. But when I think about life in a perspective for myself, life is going good for me. So I just enjoy living it. I also am aware that we only get one. And then when it comes to just the job, I really love basketball, man. Like, again, this is a show that I'm doing that I would have done for free at 8. Like, everything that I do for work, I've done for free my entire life. Every time I talk to my dad, not every time, that's an exaggeration, but when I talk to my dad, he always brings that up. Like, man, he cannot believe that this is like a career because he's seen me my entire life do this for free. I did it a lot crazier when I was younger, believe it or not. The reason I know the colleges and all of that, because when I was a real young kid, when I was like 8, 9 years old, I used to write it all down in a notebook. I was so dedicated to it that it's like I used to just go crazy with it. Now I still write, but I'm not writing down what college a guy went to or like what what hand he likes to drive with. As I can kind of visualize it and kind of grasp it. But to now have it as a career, it's just it's beautiful. And I think life is meant to be lived, right? Like you don't just go through life. You have to actually live it. Like, and as crazy as it may sound, a lot of people don't live life. They're kind of just lifing. They're kind of just existing, and I don't believe in that. So I guess that's my question. I mean, my answer is just like I let life inspire me. I let life lead me. I'm also a God-fearing man. I'm religious, as you can see. So that also I have kind of like a direction that I'm being led down. But yeah, that's the way I think life is supposed to be attacked. You live it day by day. One of my favorite scriptures, I can't remember, is Matthew something, but it kind of basically says tomorrow has its own worries, has enough worries of its own. So don't let today be today, because tomorrow is going to bring its own set of worries and problems. So just enjoy what today is, because each day is different. So that's also something. When you think about it in perspective, what's today? Today is the 22nd. It is January 22nd. We are never in the history of life getting January 22nd, 2025 again. You're never getting that day back. You're never getting it back. This is it. When tomorrow comes, it's really the past. Like you never get a chance. Like you play basketball and it's like, oh man, okay, I'll get to play next week. I'll get the podcast. I'll do the podcast next week. I'll get to see my mom tomorrow. You can't get days back. Time is not something that we get back. So use it.
So Chris F, Chris with a K, KRIS.
Oh, okay.
How have you developed as a creator over the years? What skills have you learned and developed?
I've learned my strengths and my weaknesses, what I think is very important. And I'm trying to answer this properly, because you have to understand I also work with three other people. Like I'm aware that some creators are just solo dolo, which is an entirely different perspective. I've learned how to channel my passion and my character. That's what I bring. That's what I always said I bring to our show. I bring like a character and a personality that kind of gives a little feeling. But I've learned how to channel it. I think early on it was just like straight up nonstop. Now it's all calculated. That's why when people are in the comments saying what they're saying, it blows my mind, because it's like, you've been watching for 5 years. What I do is to entertain. I'm here to make the show. So I do it to where I've come up with a science on, like, it's not premeditated. I don't go into a show like, ooh, I'm going to find a way to argue. I'm going to find a way to be loud. Like, it has to be genuine. But when the opportunity presents itself, it's like a shark in the water, where they smell the blood and they go attack. As soon as I feel something lingering in the air on the podcast where I can make it a moment, I know how to make a moment, I guess is the way I'll answer it. I don't feel like I know how to make a moment early in my days. I was just going off whatever. I feel like I know how to make a moment. I know how to make a point, and I know how to manipulate. Manipulate is a crazy word, because I feel like people are going to take it the wrong way. But I know how to manipulate something. I know how to make something out of nothing. Me and you can talk about something, and I can make it the clip out of the show. Because you have topics that are going around the league, like everybody's going to talk about this topic. But I know how to take something and say, I'm going to make this the narrative. I'm going to manipulate this so it can be its own thing. And I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like a thing that you kind of pick up on. I don't want to reveal my secret. But the last one I'll also say to this, so Chris is his name?
Chris, yes.
Chris with a K. You also have to have thick skin, because I also have learned that as well, where like I am more confident in my takes and my opinions, because I'm not afraid of being wrong. It's kind of like a player on a basketball team. The best player or the best players, they're able to live in certain moments and take the game winners and be quote unquote clutch, because they're comfortable with the miss. Damian Lillard is willing to take that shot because he's okay with missing it as well. I'm okay with being loud and boisterous and confident. Some people call it cocky, in your face, talking shit. Because if I'm wrong, It ain't nothing to me. And that'll conclude the answer for that.
This one, I just think is interesting. I wasn't expecting a question like this, but
Oh boy.
everything's open. Trim005 wants to know how you deal with procrastination. I know it's kind of connected to the book talk, but the book club, Next Generation, and the distractions our devices present. But I don't know if Trim's looking for
That,
advice himself or just wants to know you personally.
that's a good ass question. I'm super good with procrastination is because my mom was a big procrastinator. So my entire life, my mom used to always be on me to not procrastinate because she knows how dangerous it is, and it is very dangerous. How do I prevent it? I prevent it by creating a life where I'm comfortable, if that makes sense. So I've procrastinated. I still do sometimes, but I leave things open. Procrastination hits me when I make it like formal. And I remember I had a meeting with like a company. They wanted to do a show with me as well. Um, and they was asking like my routine, my structure, and I kind of told them I don't have a structure, as crazy as it sounds, because when I do, it starts to feel like work, and then I change because then I start to get stressed. I start to feel pressured, and it kind of creates a thing where it makes it not, you don't want to do it. That is what procrastination is. You're kind of prolonging something because you don't really want to do it, whether you're lazy, whether you're stressed, whether whatever reason, you're prolonging something. And by making it kind of like easy going, doing it when I want, doing it how I want, that kind of makes it more enticing to go do it, makes it more exciting. I think that's one of the best things we've been able to do with our podcast and Numbers on the Board and Through the Wire previously, where it's like, we ain't really making it pressured. Just keep it kind of what it is. It's not a big deal. Some people do have some things in life that are a big deal and that may not be as sexy. It may not be as intriguing, and I know that could probably be difficult. But at the same time, it's like when you reach a certain age, you got to do what you got to do as well. I don't know how old Trim is. Trim may be 17, but like when you get like 24, you got to. It don't matter what you want to do. You got to do it. Plain and simple. Because if you don't, you're gonna be unsuccessful.
One more. Alex
Depends
wants
on
to
what it
know.
is. Depends on how long it is.
Alex wants to know who a dream guest for this show would be.
A dream guess. Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley and Derrick Rose. Got to talk to Derrick Rose, but it's different to talk to Derrick Rose solo dolo, and also these are also dream guests, but these are dream guests I would want in person as well. I'm gonna put that in there. There is in person. So, and I feel like Derrick Rose. I'm in Chicago. Hell, I would go to Derrick Rose if he needed me to. We would get that done to be in person. We could do another one.
I
Shout out to
have
Michael Beasley. Michael Beasley. Come on, man.
um from middle name Slade. He wants to know at your basketball peak,
Mm-hmm.
who is your player comp?
At my basketball peak. I'm a 6'4" combo-ish guard. At my peak, at my peak, I'm like 6'4". I can handle it. I can score it. I'm not afraid of defending. It also depends on what team I'm on. If I'm the primary guy, I'm not going to be as good of a defender because I'm going to be exhausted with bringing up the ball, running the offense. If I'm playing in a backcourt with a traditional point guard, I'm playing off the ball. I probably have a little bit more energy reserved. I'm thinking about like I say it all the time, so I'm trying to think of somebody else, but it would be around a Malcolm Brogdon-ish player, right? Because Malcolm Brogdon can play with the ball, without the ball. He can spot up. He can drive. He can play out the pick and roll. He can guard multiple positions. I would be like a 6'4" Swiss Army knife guy that has some offensive game. I was thinking about Bruce Brown. I don't know how good his offensive game is. He's legitimately like a Swiss Army knife, but I think I could give you a little bit more offensive punch. To be honest with you, so I would say like that. Right now, I would probably be. Who would I be like right now? Who are some 6'4" guys, Christian?
6'4", two guards. Are you a 3-point shooter? Were you a 3-point shooter?
Hey, yeah, but on the NBA court, no. When we did that Bulls thing,
Mhm.
oh man, when we did that Bulls content, that 3-point line was so far, y'all. Oh, perfect, 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 perfect. I see it. Josh Hart,
Mm.
Josh Hart. I think I
You
could do
kind
a
of look
little.
like Josh Hart.
I could do a. You say I look like Josh Hart?
A little bit, no?
That's what a lot of people say. I don't see it, but hey, um, yeah, Josh Hart. I think Josh Hart is a good one, right? Uh, just do a little bit of everything. Gary Harris is a nice one. Like for today,
Mm.
Gary Harris is
Mm.
nice. So yeah, those are some good comps for me. You know, I'm a
Could you throw down? Did you in-game dunk?
can I in game dunk or did I
Did you?
in high school?
Or anywhere?
No, I don't. I don't recall ever having an in game dunk. No,
Fair
it's
enough.
very hard to in game dunk unless you are like a freak athlete. At least when I was playing, I didn't really have because they had me playing when I played high school basketball. I played for a coach that put me in. I was like a big. So I was protecting the rim. So any steals or outlets, I'm way back there. I never had like an open floor. If I was outletting, something was wrong. I was probably gonna get chewed out because I was supposed to be protecting the rim. But I do shout out the coach, my freshman coach. Um, I do remember we played a motion offense. The value in being a five was on offense because I wasn't a five. I was being guarded by slow-footed fives, so I was able to break them down from the perimeter. But defensively, when we got in transition, we used to have something called what was it called, man? I forget the name, but we had like a flow we would get into, and I would trail into it because I was like usually the last guy coming up because I'm protecting the rim. So I didn't have that, and I'm not a freak athlete. I was a rim grazer. I'm not a windmill. You know what I mean? A dunking on anybody. Hell no. I'm not even gonna put that in anybody's mind. I was never that type of athlete. But I could have got a dunk if I had like a little breakaway or whatnot. So I don't remember having anything like that. And then when I hurt my ankle, I'm damn sure have not even attempted to really try to dunk like that.
All right, last one. A little music. A niche. Someone asked about a niche artist that I like, so I wanted to bring it up. Joshua Gerard wants to know. He says, "I know you're a Boldy James fan. What is your favorite song by him?"
My favorite Boldy James song. This is a good last question, by the way. I'm going to go. My brain is telling me Brick Van Exel,
Mm.
which is an incredible title. But I'm gonna go to Boldy James's catalog really, really quick before we get out of here, and I'm gonna look, and I'm gonna say, uh, you got Lampshade. I love Lampshade. I also am a big fan um, of Double Hockey Sticks, but ultimately, not no laughing matter. Oh man, Baldy, this is a tough. Let me go with what did I say initially?
Brick Van Exel.
Yeah, let me do Brick Van Exel, man. Brick Van Exel. Brick Van Exel. You ever heard Brick Van Exel?
My favorite's Giant Slide.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the price of tea in China.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Bodie James, man. Hey, again, another guy that I wouldn't mind having on the show.
So for real, last one.
For real, last one.
Tristan Kumi wants to know what your favorite white girl song is, which he defines as something you can't help but sing along to.
First and foremost, I wonder why he calls it a white girl song. Because I thought it was gonna go in a different direction. My
Like
favorite.
guilty pleasure, I guess. Like you'd be embarrassed if your boys caught you looked at your phone with your headphones on and this is what you were listening to.
Okay,
But then
it's
you
gonna go.
rock with it.
It's a few different answers to this. Number one, I'm never embarrassed to sing no song. I love
There we
music, but I cannot stop myself no matter where I am at. When I hear it over the speakers, I am going to repeat. And the Jay-Z song is on. And the Jay-Z song. Hey, I love Party in the USA. That is one of those songs. I don't even know if it's on my phone. I don't know if I've ever like turned it on in a car. But I love that. And Mariah Carey got a little bit more swag. So I don't know if I would be embarrassed of singing it, but Touch My Body is one of my favorite Mariah songs. My mind is blanking on my favorite Mariah Carey. I got 2 Mariah Carey songs in my phone that I go to all the time. It's not Touch My Body. It is We Belong Together. And
Cat
then
Princess Heartbreaker.
what is my other one? Nah, not Heartbreaker.
Not
Um,
obsessed.
Shake It Off. So I gotta shake it off, cause your loving ain't the same, and you keep on playing games, cause you know this thing. That I see, I play that all the time. Like that's one of my favorite songs ever. I love that song. So those, I got some Adele songs I really love. And then there's the what is the song called? It's Leona Lewis. What is her name?
Oh, Bleeding Love.
There you go. Bleeding Love.
You gonna sing that one? That's upper register. That's a tough one.
Nah, I ain't ready for that one. My voice a crack. Bleeding Love is like iconic, man. Like bleed. I'm gonna listen to that when I leave here. I love Bleeding Love. On that note, this is the wrap up of the first official episode of Tee It Up. I appreciate everybody who has been here. Went a little bit longer than I expected or anticipated, but I wanted to answer as many of y'all questions as possible just to fully introduce y'all to the show and get y'all acclimated with everything that's going on. Again, I'm here to entertain. I'm here to teach and be taught and to learn, but I'm also here to bring together a community, and I hope this can be the starting foundation for that. I truly appreciate everybody that tuned in, and I will see y'all in the next episode. I cannot wait for y'all to see it. I'm excited. And let's lock in for this amazing ride we're about to go on. We out. Peace.